redefining co-working.
Exceptional offices for every business.
This summer, eSpaces expands with 2 premier locations.
Cool Springs at Corporate Center and Brentwood at City Park.
Explore the private offices, team suites, and fully equipped meeting rooms.
Limited spaces are available.
Schedule your private tour now at espaces.com and be sure to check out all 15 locations at espaces.com.
That's espaces.com.
espaces.com.
I've often said I've been called everything: racist, homophobe, transphobe. I mean, I had a gay agent for 7 years, for crying out loud. It was gay as could be, and I'm like, I'm in the entertainment business. How can you call me a homophobe? Like, my daughter's a professional dancer. She tours with Disney on Ice, and I'll meet her somewhere in some city in America, and I'll take her to dinner or lunch or whatever, and take her back to the hotel. And I'll say, hey, let me go in and meet some of your friends. She's like, absolutely. Absolutely not.
There's so many duels I want to organize.
I know
the first
The
one.
Music City duel. I mean, it's like I want to line them up. I got so many people I want
But
to
the
enter these
first one
duels.
should be Zach Bryan and Gavin Adcock.
What a bunch of
right?
pussies.
I just
These guys.
I don't take either of them seriously, though.
I know, but
I don't take
be a
either of them
great
seriously.
duel.
As a matter of fact, I'm tired of the whole thing.
I think that's the first time you've named names.
We got to set the bar higher for the initial duel.
Yeah, they tend to not want the equality they talk about. They want control. They really want an agenda to be pushed, and that's where it gets dangerous on that, because now we isolate people out of the group, and if you're not part of the group, then you're going to get a label. If you get a label, and now you're going to be classified. If you get classified, you get put on the shelf. We don't have to deal with you anymore. And if we can label you, we can, if we really want to, dehumanize you. And now you get to a situation like the tragedy we had with Charlie.
The Try That in a Small Town podcast begins now.
All right, welcome back to the Try That in a Small Town podcast. We are loose. We are fun.
Yeah.
We got who?
We got thrash.
Introduce yourselves.
Kalo or Kelly.
TK.
Indeed.
And I'm Kurt. This is the Try That in a Small Town podcast, coming to you from the Patriot Mobile Studios. I like getting my swerve on. Powered by eSpaces. Can be a fun night, y'all.
It's gonna be a great night.
We got Chad Prather. I don't know if you guys know Chad Prather, but if you don't, you're going to, and then you're not going to regret listening. This guy is awesome.
Yeah.
He's got a lot to say.
Yeah.
Sometimes he says it quick. Got to keep up, but he's pretty cool.
The string they pull out of the back of him, out of his back, it goes in slow. It goes in slow. He is full of information.
And I allocated 2 hours to get ready, just to do some research on him, because I didn't know him, and I wish I would have taken 8 hours. I mean, the content he has,
it's just a lot.
It's a lot.
It's like, got to ask him about this, because it's not like you can describe him as this.
No.
He is a lot of things. He's done a lot of things. Makes me feel bad about myself.
I know it.
He's one of those guys that's
he's
so
one of those
talented.
guests
Yeah.
that's like, God, dog, I don't read enough. Jeez.
Yeah.
I don't read
I
enough.
started thinking about taking a class or something.
I know it. I know it.
But where do you start? Because he's pretty good at history and theology.
I know it.
And
I
he's
see a Prather
comedian,
University.
He's a singer, a songwriter.
On the horizon. Prather University.
That sounds good.
Prather U.
PU.
Prather U. Prather U. PU.
Oh my gosh. Let's not waste any time. Let's get right to Chad. I think Chad is like the most interesting man in the world. Because if you look him up, like, here's what it says.
Did he say that or somebody else say that?
No. Well, here's what Google says. So you know it's true. Comedian, actor, Christian, conservative, philosopher, podcaster, musician, preacher.
Yeah.
Where
are you reading that? That's cool.
I know. I just made most of them up.
The old wide world web.
But hey,
Punk, heathen.
tell me this. If you're on a plane and you're sitting, unfortunately, next to somebody you don't know, they say, what do you do?
That's a hard one. And I've always said I should just lie, right? Because I just say, I'm in the entertainment business. I do comedy. So I do that, and then people want to go, so do you do the comedy? And then they'll qualify it like stand-up, or are you like a producer or, a manager of something? I was like, no, I do the comedy. I get on the stage and do it. I'm in the entertainment business. music and comedy.
We kind of lie, right? I don't want to say it because then
we
you
lie.
know the conversation.
You know where that's going to go.
We
And
lie,
then the other thing is, if I say I podcast, everybody's got a podcast.
Yeah.
And that just sounds like you just have a hobby. So
That's a preacher coming out in him right
a lot of times I will joke and say that it used to be when people would introduce me, if I'd go to an event or something, speak at these deals. Like I just did a Folds of Honor event Saturday night. And a lot of times they'll introduce you as an internet sensation. And I just say that's a 21st century way of saying you're unemployed but popular.
Nice.
Because people look at you like, oh, you're an influencer or
Well,
you're
that's
a
what I was going to say.
creator.
Do people say that?
I try to never say that.
Right.
Like, I hate that phrase. It sounds so nothing.
Yeah.
Because anybody can try to do that. I mean, there's college classes now for that.
Yeah.
Which is strange to me. I went viral. I was doing a television show. I was doing television and radio. I went viral back in 2015 with a video that I was sitting in the truck and I was comparing Walmart to Target. And I was just talking about how bougie Target is versus how redneck Walmart is. And I called it the blue logo store versus the red logo store because I was like, I don't want to get sued by. And plus, our television network had just gotten a huge donation from Alice Walton. Sam Walton's daughter. And I didn't want to piss her off. So the thing went viral, and my mother called me on the phone. She said, are you sick? And I go, no. She said, somebody at church said you went viral. And so, and my mother's quick. I said, no, Mom. She was really asking if I was sick, and I said, they're talking about Facebook and Twitter. And she goes, you're too old to be touching your Twitter. So I joke like that, but that stuff really went down. I did 3 seasons of that television show, and then ended up doing just social media. I mean, social media went crazy, and then in end of 2015, a comedian friend of mine, he said, why don't you do comedy? And I go, well, I'm really not a comedian. He goes, who gives a shit? But they buy tickets. Go do whatever you want to do, like anything on stage. And so I tried to figure out how can I honor the craft of comedy, and so I developed that over the years, did a lot of shows, and then the shtick was always the fast-talking thing that I did in the truck. But then also I figured I'm a jackleg guitar player, so I said if I could tell a joke, I should be able to sing a joke. And so I started doing parody songs first, and then writing funny songs and doing things like that. And so I remind people, I grew up in Georgia, down in the woods, and I grew up in a family full of cowboys, but I was the least cowboy of all of them, and I grew up in a family of musicians, and I was the least musician of all of them. But I'm the only person in my family that was ever able to take those two things and make any money.
Nice.
So I say they can kiss my ass. But yeah, I've done enough things. You listed those things. I have done enough stuff with mediocrity that I found that if I put them all together, it's a pretty solid package. It's entertaining. Because people like, before they start deciding if I can play the guitar or if I can sing, then I'm off to talking about my adventures around the world, and they're like, oh, wow, this guy's interesting. Yeah. It's just jackleg stuff.
Were you an actor? Like I saw you were on TV at 2, or what was that about?
Yeah, I don't know why they put that stuff in there. I did television. I had a travel television show, and so then I had an equestrian show because they wanted a funny guy that understood and knew horses, and so they sent me around the country to these equestrian events trying to see if they could kill me. So I'd play polo. I went to Walt Scott. You remember Back to the Future when Marty McFly grabs onto the back of the Jeep and the guy looks back and he's on a skateboard? That's Walt Scott. He was John Wayne's stuntman. And he's been in Hollywood for 1,000,000 years. So they'd send me out to his ranch to get shot off of horses and just whatever they could do to kill me. And so then mounted shooting and stagecoach races. And so we did that all over the country, and it was just wild. I guess there was some elements of that, but then I wound up getting managed out of L.A. I was with Gersh, with my agency, and then I was with Paradigm, which Paradigm's always been music, but they started a comedy division, and so my agent moved over there. And we ended up pitching sitcoms, too. I was writing for sitcoms. I was with Lionsgate, and so I was pitching to all the networks. All the networks would listen to me. Eric Tannenbaum was the executive producer on my projects. He had 2.5 Men for 11 seasons. And so he was dumbfounded because I got told no a lot. And the reason I got told no a lot is because I'm unabashedly, unashamedly, and unapologetically a conservative guy, a conservative voice. And so I would go in there and I'd sit down with these guys, and you could kind of see where this was going to go real quick. And when CBS was telling Eric Tannenbaum no, he was like, why? You can't tell me no. And they were like, well, with him we can, because we know who he is. So that was an adventure, but we had some success doing that. And then I would write with some pretty big writers, and so that was an adventure. That was something that you know how you guys are in the entertainment industry on a level where you can understand this, where when you first found yourself in certain rooms you couldn't believe you were in. When you're on stages or you're at a place where you're like, man, think about all the people who have sat here or stood here or been in this element. And sometimes you can go long enough that you forget how special that is, but hopefully you can always remember that feeling of going, man, I'm sitting in a chair where Mel Gibson probably was rolling on Molly. Right. And I wish I was rolling on Molly dealing with these executives at ABC. So it was a cool thing. It was an adventure. I always, my redneck euphemism is I say I'm like a goose. I wake up in a new world every day. I just wait to see what's going to come and happen. And I get connected with great people like yourselves. And we were just talking about Justin Danger Nunley. I was with him yesterday, and he was with you guys. And I say great people. There's Justin. I know. But it's been really cool. It's awesome. I got a text message from, you never know who you go through 10 bottles in one day of Redneck Riviera with John Rich and his upstairs deal, and then you're like, man, I don't like John after that many bottles. I didn't like John after the first bottle. Most people don't need bottles to not like John. But, nice. We love John. He's I always say he's an asshole, but he's ours. And so, I love John. And John sang on one of my songs. He was, gracious.
That's right, I saw that.
He did Watered Down with me. And, I just got Neil McCoy texted me yesterday, and so it's weird. Dude. Like, that's weird to me still that you have these guys that consider you friends. Tracy Lawrence, I ran into him in December out in Vegas for the finals rodeo, and he walks up and hugs you, and that's weird to me because I'm like, I sat in my truck running my mouth for a minute at a time. So it's just been cool.
But you're good at it, man. Are you ever at a loss for words?
No, I should be. It's got me in a lot of trouble. I've got the foot-shaped mouth. It fits right in there. And so I get up every morning and I think we just did tomorrow will be the 33rd episode of this. Every morning, Monday through Friday, I get up and at 8-7 Central, I do this little devotional thing. Before the election, I really felt impressed. I was like, politicians aren't going to save us. We need to really come back to God. We really need to get our priorities right. And so I started 30 days ago. I started doing this little devotional in the morning, lasts about 10 minutes, just like this. I'm reading the Bible. This is what I think about it. And then I'll do my show Monday through Thursday, which is a little more cultural. People blame it. They say it's political. I really think it's more cultural than anything. And so I do that for an hour. And then I'm inevitably on Newsmax or Fox or whoever else. I just did Charlie Kirk's show tonight. I don't want to timestamp this too much because I don't know when to come out, but filled in for Charlie Kirk on his TBN show, which is Charlie Kirk Today, which was great. It was a humbling honor to do that. So yesterday I started talking at 7 in the morning, and I finally finished talking after a dinner meeting at midnight last night. And I go, this is too much. Men aren't designed to talk this much. They say men are only using 1,500 words a day. We're a short term paper, and we just use our stuff up and musicians are the worst. Sound and audio guys are the worst. They're like computer nerds. They've been sitting there. They don't know how to interact with people anyway. They've been pushing buttons their entire life. They've never interacted with humans.
Well, except for Jim, though. He's no radio guy.
It's true.
So
he doesn't know what to say right now.
He's multifaceted. So
that's because we took away his mic.
Yeah, exactly. But musicians are that way. You've interacted with an instrument,
right?
Hours and hours and hours and hours on end. But I'm a people person. I grew up down in the woods. We were white trash. My family still is. I got out. And my joke is that we were so country that I got a cousin that got arrested for selling chicken salad sandwiches in a cockfight.
Oh, jeez!
Because she didn't have a food permit, and that's actually a true story. And when I went to the University of Georgia, I said I was so naive that they would talk about the fraternity houses being haunted, and I didn't know what that meant. They told me it was a ghost, and I didn't know what that meant. When they finally explained it, I said, where I grew up, if you died in that mobile home, you weren't coming back. You weren't spending eternity haunting that. Our houses weren't possessed; they were repossessed. And so, but we grew up in the woods, but I was an extrovert. I was the youngest brother of two other brothers. And being an extrovert that could only relate to the horses, the dogs, and the trees, and the snakes that we'd catch in the creek, I wanted to get out. So when I turned 18, I hit the road. I packed up my little Pontiac Grand Am, went off the University of Georgia. I had baseball scholarship offers to places like Clemson, and I said, I'm not going to go to school in a cow pasture. I need to be around people. And so went to the University of Georgia and kind of never looked back.
Did you play ball there?
I played some baseball there and had a good time and try to remember it from time to time. University of Georgia, back then, it was Rolling Stone magazine had it the #2 party school in the nation. And I was there for it. Russell Hall, which I lived on the 10th floor of Russell Hall, which was the top. We called it the penthouse up there. That was the #1 party dormitory in the nation by Rolling Stone magazine. And I always say the grace of God abounds to the chief of sinners on the 10th floor of Russell Hall, because it was bad. I mean, we did everything we could to kill ourselves. And so went over there, and then when I got out of school, I pursued ministry stuff. I went to seminary, did a lot of animal stuff, worked with a lot of animals, and ended up getting recruited, did some little projects for the FBI, undercover. I was like, what's the character, Donnie Brasco, or
yeah.
I was basically that, but not with. Except I was with the cartels. I had to go hang out with the cartels in Tijuana and Arkansas and San Diego and upstate New York, dealing with horses. And that's back before anybody knew what the cartels were.
Yeah.
But here I am in $50 pair of Dickies boots, and these guys are wearing $4,000 Gucci loafers, and I was like, these guys are doing well. I had no clue who I was hanging around with. But then I started going to around the world. I'd count my money. Literally would count my money. I would keep change all year long in a bucket, in a water bucket, 5-gallon water bucket. And then Christmas break, I'd dump all that change out on the floor of my bedroom, and I'd count it up, and I'd see where I could buy a plane ticket to, and I'd go to Africa, and I'd stay for a couple of weeks, or I might stay a month. The mother of my children, I met her in Africa. I went all the way to West Africa to meet a white girl from Alabama.
That is wild.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
And she does that. She rolls.
Hey, didn't you lock up somehow like a gorilla or something like that in your?
Oh yeah, that's
in
a
your
good
van?
story. I was in Nigeria.
Why? Okay.
Yankari. There was that's cool, man, that you know that story. That was the freakiest deal. That was one of those core memories that you're like, I almost didn't get out of that. It was a baboon, and
oh my God,
we were in I was traveling with some medical missionaries, and we were in the middle of nowhere. This was January 1996, because I left New Year's Eve '95 and spent New Year's Eve on an airplane, brought in the new year, landed in Lagos, Nigeria. About a week later, we were in Yankari, and you can go into these beautiful natural springs that come out from under the rock. You can swim in them, and you can look up and see the baboons in the trees digging in their butt and pooping in the water, and it's beautiful. And so the next morning we come out, and we got these 2 Toyota vans. So I'm loading their stuff up, putting all the packs in and the gear, and I kind of simultaneously pull the hatch on the back down and reach around with my foot and kick the sliding door shut on the side. And I go, who's in the van? And I look, and it's one of those baboons. Oh. Because it was a bench front seat and then a bench second seat, and one of the baboons had crawled in without me knowing it.
It will rip your face off.
Everything off. Everything they grab, they'll pull off.
Your face is coming off, man.
Well, I'm going, okay, I'm in a bad situation because these missionaries' stuff is in these vans. Like, he could start tearing windshields out. He could go crazy. He could rip the seats out. He could demolish everything. So I'm like, I got to save face. I did this. I got to get this baboon out of this van. And so I'm like, I got to come face to face with a monkey. That's my only choice. I got to man up and come face to face. So I reach around and just real quick, I snatch the thing open and pull it back, and I jump back out of the way, and he comes right to the edge, and he got those teeth and the whole thing.
Oh my God!
And
what did that look like? The teeth? Because
they're close. There. I mean, it's just like it's National Geographic in 3D.
Right? They're fangs.
And they're fangs.
They will eat your face.
They'll get you
right off the
and
bone,
so,
man. What are you doing?
So I back off, and he scoots forward, and it's like we lock eyes and we share a moment. And the missionaries, my friend Dr. Andy Norman, he's an OBGYN. He was a lifetime missionary in Nigeria. And he kept a little bag of hard candy. It'd be like you guys have this right here. But he kept it on the front seat in a Ziploc bag. And that monkey backs back up and reaches over and grabs that thing and just kind of hops down and takes off. He starts making monkey friends. Like he opens a Ziploc bag like he knew what was up, and he starts serving treats like the old man at church. Like, here's butterscotch. And one of the doctors, he just runs over there. He's like, you know. And I was like, what are you doing? He goes, I want my candy back. I want my arm back. So that's a funny story. That was face to face with death.
What's funny now than it was.
Funny now. And then the following day, actually that night I got really sick with dysentery. So that was a shitful deal. I lost like 20 pounds in 4 days, no joke, in a place called Little Gombe. And I was in a mud brick hut, 2 rooms with these older missionary couple from New Zealand. We were a million miles from anything. You know those places where you can just look up, it's like I can grab the stars. It's just dark. But then they had a snail shell shaped outhouse that was 100 yards behind the house. And so I'd come back and I'm trying to not die. But you're kind of wanting to die. You're so sick. And I'd have to keep walking out there. It was horrible. And they finally got me some medicine the next morning, and I slept for 3 straight days and nights. But I did. I lost like 20 pounds in 4 days. Pictures of me from that. I was like, you might not have, should have survived on that.
Is that like from some weird water?
Chicken. It was chicken. I had some
chicken. Gotcha.
And some chicken.
Chicken salad.
That's your cousin. I don't know if I would have had the chicken.
The chicken will get you, that yard bird, man.
I don't know if in hindsight, knowing what you know now, I would have left that chicken alone.
Well, and I can't eat curry to this day because the last meal I ate with those New Zealand missionaries was curry. And that is what I spent the evening enjoying again over and over. So to this day, I just really can't get near curry. And I'm okay with it. I'm not missing it.
What about baboons?
You know, baboons, that was the last encounter that I know of. I think that was the last one. That's why I have people all the time who you know, they're like, well, we're going to get a pet monkey. And I was like, no, I wouldn't. I really wouldn't.
God dang, man, I see a movie in your future.
Dude, I've done so much stuff. And then we were joking, like Matt Lyda, who is Justin Nunley's podcast co-host with Nine Line Apparel, he's known me forever. And he goes, you've lived in 52 years, you've lived like 3 full lifetimes. You've done so many different things. Yeah. Because again, I wake up in a new world every day. Like, what can we do? I hate the repetition of doing the same stuff. Like, people keep saying, you can't keep touring for the rest of your life. And I'm like, why can't I? I enjoy it. I like going to new places. I'm at a point in life where I can be specific about where I go, how I go, and what I do when I'm there. You know, when I got into comedy, we had gotten so big. I say we like I'm schizophrenic and the voices in my head count as personalities. But I would go to these places and we would do Wednesday night. You guys know how it goes. I'd do Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, sometimes Sunday, in different city. And this was jumping on. This wasn't tour busing back then. This was jumping on an airplane and having to go. And I've got a guy, Party Foul Steve, who's traveled with me all these years. And man, we saw the world. We saw the country. Which, I mean, I'd seen all of the world, but up until that point, I'd really never seen the country. Oh, interesting. And now I've seen it. I've seen it. You know what I mean?
Covered it.
And you guys can appreciate this. People say, "What's your favorite town to go to?" And it's like, there's not one.
Every day we wake up, everybody. I'm telling you, every day we get in a ride to go somewhere during the day, and the runner will be like, "Where's your favorite place?" And they're like,
bro,
man. We wake up.
You don't even know where you are.
It looks the same.
Yeah,
it looks the same
for us. Yeah, I don't know. It's an arena. They all kind of look the same. I'm not being an idiot, but we don't see the city.
You don't see it. You don't have time to.
No.
Yeah.
So and then we got to a point where we were using a bus, and because I do have people that travel with me. I've got an opener that's been with Jesse Payton. He's been with me for 6 years. He's a huge, massive comic. He's doing an incredible job. He spent 9 years in prison and then decided he was funny. And that is actually a funny story. He graduated from high school on a Thursday, went to prison on Monday. So and then he spent the next 8.5 years in prison.
What did he do?
Wow. He beat the hell out of a guy, almost killed him, in defending his brother, and
country,
that kind of deal. But we tour, and then I've got the music guys, and I'll tell you that story in a second, that travel with me. I've got some really great Texas musicians that go all over the country with me. But I'd say if you get off the bus or you get off the airplane, you get off the airplane, you go from the airport, you go to the hotel maybe, you go to the green room, you go to the stage, you sound check, you go back to the green room, you go out, you do the show, then you go back to the green room, and then you go back to the hotel, and you go back to the airport, and you go to the next place. I mean, that's it. You're not hanging out.
No.
You know? So, I don't know. I'm taking the time now, Lord willing, in these days to go places that I can actually enjoy a little bit. And like I said, I'm being a lot more strategic with where I go. COVID changed everything for everybody in the way live entertainment was being done.
What were you doing during? Oh, I know what you were doing.
What?
Running for governor.
I did do that.
Yeah.
Because of it.
Well,
which is
okay,
which was
why? Because
so I was in South Dakota. We were getting ready for Trump was going to speak the next night. It was July 2nd of 20. Trump was going to speak the next night out at Mount Rushmore. That was going to be the first time they'd shot fireworks off in like 17 years. And so I was there for that. So I was having dinner with Don Jr., Kim Guilfoyle, and my phone lights up and says that Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, is about to he's going to increase the mask mandates. He's going to reinforce that. More stuff's going to get shut down. And so I always say jokingly, but I think it's true. I don't know if it was the wine or because I was sitting with a Trump, but I got on Twitter and I said, I'm going to run for governor in Texas in 2022. And it blew up. There was no looking back. People thought it was a stunt. They thought it was a way to increase my popularity. I was like, I didn't need that kind of popularity. I really didn't need that kind of popularity. It was ruination in a lot of ways, depending on how you look at it. It was a blessing because I think we did some good with it. I mean, I didn't have the money. There was no way to compete in that. Right. I mean, I think I spent like $1 million on that deal, and there's 254 counties in Texas. If you ever run for statewide office, don't do it in Texas. Go to Connecticut.
Yeah, right.
I mean, 1,221 miles alone with the border of Mexico. It's a stretch. Yeah. I mean, it's a stretch. You think about where Longview, Texas, or Marshall, Texas is to El Paso. I mean, that's the distance from there to friggin' Atlanta. It's insane. Yeah. But I did it. That was 19 months of hell. Put some of my people through some really hard stuff. We had some tough go of it. But hey, I came in 4th out of 4.
Honestly, you're in for governor.
I came in 4th out of 9, honestly. I came in 4th out of 9, but for what I did, I was taken seriously. By the end of it, I was legitimately taken seriously as a candidate. A lot of people still want me to run again. I ran then because there was a purpose to it, not because I wanted to be in politics. I can do far more good doing the podcast, the Chad Prather Show. My reach doing that, I can do far more good like this, having influence over politicians and with politicians and being friends with people in the State House than I could actually being in that situation. Greg Abbott's powerful. He's about to do his 4th term, and he will. And I always have said that the 3 most powerful people in the universe are God, the President of the United States, and the Governor of Texas. And that's arguably true. Greg Abbott hasn't been my favorite guy. He's kind of waffled around on some things over and over, and I don't like that. But the perception of how Texas is not how Texas really is. If you're inside Texas, people think of it kind of like they think of Florida. Like, oh, it's a conservative bastion. It's a stronghold. It's not. The fortunate thing with Texas for them to be conservative and remain red is they've got a lot of big small towns. Yeah. So whether it's your Abilene's or Longviews or Waco's or Tyler or Amarillo, Lubbock, those kind of places. But then you got the blueberries and the chili. So you got Dallas and Fort Worth, and you got Austin, of course, and San Antonio and El Paso and Houston. Those are arguably, they poll consistently blue in regards to that. So there's a struggle that's in there. And then we've kind of got a mamby-pamby state house in terms of GOP representation. So I've been pretty involved in it. Like right now with the thing that happened with Charlie Kirk, I was friends with Charlie. Friends with TPUSA, we're working real hard to try to get some memorials done and built and maybe some statues put in some places. We're trying to move quick on that and try to ride that wave while it's high. So I'm pretty involved in that. And then, I'm connected. Back during COVID, when that was going on, I finished an album, a comedy album. I finished a book called Am I Crazy? Yes. And then
spoiler alert. Yes.
Yeah. I had a bunch of musician friends who they couldn't go to work. And at the time I was riding a big wave of huge crowds wherever I went. 3,000-4,000 for comedy, that's a big crowd. 3,000-4,000 people, 1,200 on a comedy night, small night for me at that time. And so I was living in this downtown brownstone house in downtown Fort Worth. Had 20-foot ceilings. The acoustics were fantastic in there. And I called couple of my buddies, Steve Helms, who's a guitar player and songwriter, and Ben McPherson, who's an incredible fiddle player there in Texas. And I called him. I said, "Come over here. I got an idea." I said, "Let's do this thing called Songs from the Sofa, where we just sing harmonies. Well, just do it on an iPhone and put it out there and see what we can do." Well, then hit me. I was like, if you boys want to go on the road, like, I can do comedy stuff. Then we come out and do harmony music stuff. And we can throw jokes in the middle and banter. And I said, because I can go to places where they've never heard of COVID. Like, we can go to Cheyenne, Wyoming. We go to Casper. Like, they'll still show up out there. They're not scared. And so that's what we did. And now, however many years later, I can't get rid of those guys.
That's great.
They discovered a good gig. They don't have to worry about booking. They just come with me. So, yeah, it's an interesting show. It's a good variety show. I've always looked at the pattern of what I wanted to do, like the old Will Rogers type, doing the Follies with his humor, which was a variety show. And Will Rogers' family actually reached out to me years ago, and they said, "We do see you carrying that mantle of a modern Will Rogers," which is an honor. I always look at more like Mike Rowe, being that type of humor voice, being that deal, and he gets told that a lot too. But I'm like, I couldn't carry. I don't know if Will Rogers wore a jockstrap, but I don't think I could carry it if he did. So yeah, and now, and then I was on the Blaze Network doing the show for 5 or 6 years, the Chad Prather show, and that's of course Glenn Beck's historic network that he's done there. And then I went independent a couple of years ago. Everything I'm doing now, just independent.
Good for you.
No more representation out of L.A. No more. Some friends of mine, Chris Wallen, who songwriter, who wrote things like "Don't Blink," little
he's a
tiny
great
song. Chris called me a couple of years ago, and he said, "Chris talks so slow. You get him on the phone, it's like, this is gonna take a minute." But they wanted to start a record label called Based Records that was going to be a non-woke, uncancelable record label. And they are all those things. Putting out songs has been their challenge.
One major hurdle.
I mean, dude, you got the cultural and political side down, but the song thing it's a labor of love. But I mean, I had some great guys. We came out here. We wrote pile of songs, and me and Chris and Ira Dean jumped in on some of that, and I want to say Jeffrey Steele jumped in a little bit on some of it, and
just one of your most received
guys.
Or viral music song videos. I was going through some of them today, and I saw the one where the women's sports ones. Like,
that's the one. Yeah, that's the one.
We gotta get it.
No doubt.
You know it. We can do it.
I'll do verse now. Play it.
You know what goes great with small town stories?
Original Glory, America's beer right here.
I've been drinking this every songwriting session today.
Man, that clean, crisp taste reminds me of summer nights on the back porch after a fresh mowed lawn.
And they're just not making great beer. They're investing in America's small towns.
Well, it's just like us. They believe in bringing communities together.
Not only do they invest in communities, but a portion of each sale goes to the veterans and the first responders and all the heroes that protect us.
For a limited time, you can become a member of the OG fam and invest in this beer at wefunder.com/original brands.
Join our Original Glory family and help ignite that Original Glory spirit.
My name is Glenn Story. I'm the founder and CEO of Patriot Mobile. And then we have 4 principles. First Amendment, Second Amendment, right to life, military and first responders. If you have a place to go put your money, you always want to put it with somebody that's like-minded.
Of course.
And I think that's the beauty of Patriot Mobile. We're a conservative alternative.
Don't get fooled by other providers pretending to share your values or have the same coverage. Go to patriotmobile.com/smalltown to get a free month of service when you use the offer code SMALLTOWN or call 972-PATRIOT.
See if I can remember how it starts off. It goes up. Turn this down a little bit right here. It goes. That one went crazy viral, and that was This was when William Thomas, who started to identify as Leah Thomas, decided to start beating the hell out of girls in women's sports or in swimming. And so I was listening to the news, And I thought, man, this guy just went to sleep with Shania Twain on repeat and woke up and, man, I felt like a woman. And so I was like, I'm going to write a song. And I was coming out of Galveston going up 45 to Houston. And by the time I got to Houston, I was like, I got this song down. So I sat down in the kitchen and I said, I want to be a woman and compete. I may have 2 balls and big feet. Don't you question why I can't keep up with the guys. I want to be a woman and compete. I'm going to get a scholarship. Win myself a championship. I'll swim and I will paddle. Just don't mind my Adam's apple. I'm going to get a scholarship. They'll change the rules for me. Even though I stand to pee. My legs still get hairy and my boobs give no dairy. That don't bother me. I may be tall and lanky and still have a little spanky, but I want to be a woman and compete. I'll tuck my little Guido in the pocket of my Speedo. Some things you just can't unsee. Then it goes on. It's like, but I like it says, I may still have old Frankie wrapped up like pigs in blankies. Don't want to be a woman and
That's as you're singing that, I'm saying to myself, we used to sit around the bus and have coffee in the morning 10 years ago and be like, you know what'd be crazy? Is if a dude like pretended he was a girl and went and like played Serena Williams.
Yeah.
And then see what that would be like. We should do that. Like, we should find a guy, and we're laughing about it.
Yeah, we want to manage this guy.
We want to marry that. We're ahead of our time. And we're sitting here. Unbelievable still that that's even happened.
Yeah.
It's happening still, unfortunately, but it was really happening, a while ago. It was insane. It's crazy.
And here's the thing. I don't know if you guys ever, in your travels, did you ever, like, come upon or be around like a Me Too rally, when the girls were wearing the pink hats? Did y'all ever see that out in the streets? You get in a big city.
I try to avoid it.
Yeah, I tried to avoid it too. Yeah. And so I went to one. I did not mean to go to one. I was having breakfast. We'd done a show in Grand Junction, Colorado. Having breakfast that morning, walk out on Main Street, we're in a parade. And I didn't know what it was all about, but I like their hats. And so I go, let's see what this is about. I discovered, fellas, in the space of 3 minutes, they didn't like me and they didn't like my penis, which I thought was unfair because they'd never met either one of them. And I don't have an aggressive penis. And it's certainly not a threat to the Me Too deal. But I'm like, where were these girls? Like, where are these girls now? Because they're out there walking and they're dressed up like vaginas, their men are dressed up like where do you get a vagina costume first of all? I mean, you just like go to Spirit Halloween and be like, I want to be an Arby's. It was weird. Arby's. And you're sitting there going, Montana. But the weirdest thing, the ironic thing was they're walking their dogs on a leash. Their dogs have vagina hats on. And the irony of walking a wiener dog at a Me Too rally.
Well done.
But I'm like, where are those girls now? Because this is where they ought to be pissed off when girls are getting
1,000%
butts kicked by men. Or going into their spaces, locker rooms, and then they're going to say that if we say these things, we're the ones that's filled with hate. No, I mean, actually, we're the ones filled with compassion.
They really don't know what they stand for.
They don't have a clue.
They just they waffle back and forth. They do whatever they feel is moving them at that moment, and they don't know why. Yeah. They're just very, very confused.
Well, and any movement that's out there, and I don't want to take you guys into a political thing. I think this is a cultural deal, but this is just historically and philosophically where this stuff ends up. Is anytime you have a movement, whether it's BLM, the LG, whatever, the alphabet thing, or the feminist, all these different deals, if you look closely at any of these movements, and it's not just the ones that you're against, it's all of them, even the ones that sometimes we approve of, they tend to not want the equality they talk about. They want control. They really want an agenda to be pushed, and that's where it gets dangerous on that, because now we isolate people out of the group, and if you're not part of the group, then you're going to get a label. If you get a label, now you're going to be classified. If you get classified, you get put on the shelf. We don't have to deal with you anymore. And if we can label you, we can, if we really want to, dehumanize you. And now you get to a situation like the tragedy we had with Charlie. So now my friend Chad Robichaud, he posted something the other day, and I thought it was just so profound. I've been saying it every day since he said it. He said, they don't kill you because you're a Nazi. They call you a Nazi so they can kill you. And that's human nature. Yeah. And so if they can label you, then they can do whatever they want to, and they can justify it because you're subhuman. What happened during COVID was the same deal. You know, if you weren't, and I don't like saying the V word, because if you put this on YouTube, you never know. They're going to say, oh, he said that word. I call it the blah, blah, that medical procedure. You know, so you go get the medical procedure, and if you didn't get it, well then, you know, we're going to have a winter of darkness and death. That's what the president said. And so it was the haves and the have-nots, and if you weren't wearing a hazmat suit and rubbed up with antibacterial goop in the airport, and you didn't have on a mask, you know, in your car while you were driving along, listening to, you know, Alanis Morissette, then you were one of those people that's filled with hate. You know, I just didn't want to go to the back of the Walgreens and have somebody jab some untested goop into my arm that's going to cause me to have, you know, blood worms. And so, I was like, this doesn't make sense. I was sitting there going, well, how in the hell are we justifying this? You want me to have a medical... Salina, Kansas. Of all places, Salina, Kansas. I had a show schedule there, sold out deal, a month out, and they said, got to have a passport to come in. You got to be able to prove your status. And I said, we're not having that show. Not having that show. My most supportive state historically is California. I can go out there and do 16, 17 shows a year. And I'm talking about, the Bakersfield, the Redding, the Visayas, the Chico. But we can go to San Jose. We can go to Thousand Oaks, Anaheim. We could do San Diego, Ramona, La Jolla. I can do all those places. They're packed. I can do multiple nights there. They're packed. But once all that hit, it was done. And now it's rare. And the reason it was so successful is because there's good people in California. You know this.
So we love playing California. Like, it's like I'm from way upstate New York and the mountains of the Adirondacks. It's beautiful. It's low income, but they're good, hardworking people.
Yeah.
California, New York gets a bad rap as a whole state because of the city. California, the same thing happens. California, they're great people. It's just they get a bad rap. It's not all like...
Yeah, because of the big blue cities. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
That's the way they're known. Yeah. We used to fly into Buffalo, and we'd fly into Buffalo, do that, in Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, Albany. So we'd go across upstate. We'd count the barns. Right. And you wouldn't think about being in New York. We were just at the Trump in Westchester, out above White Plains. Gorgeous up there. You got to remind yourself you're in New York. Because, again, people don't think about that.
Well, just think it's New York City, which isn't even attached to the state, you know? So you get in the state, and it's farm country. True. It's mountains.
That's beautiful up there.
It's
gorgeous. I love it up there.
It's really, it just gets a bad rap. And unfortunately, the people like where I'm from, they pay the heavy price for the politics.
Yeah.
You know, especially during COVID, they got destroyed. Small businesses, and it's crazy leadership.
Well, and now folks are getting taxed if they try to move out of California. I mean, we're seeing a lot of people come into Texas, which is good and bad. It's a huge boost for the economy, but we got people coming from Silicon Valley, not by choice, but because Elon and those guys are moving businesses there. So you got these woke progressives that are coming into Texas, and they really are changing things because now they're running for school boards and they're doing all these different things. So, but a lot of people, they can't get out of California. There's really good people over there. I was just out there, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. I was in Downey, California.
Where my wife grew up.
No kidding?
Yep.
In Downey?
Yep.
Wow, she got out. But no, there's good people out there, and they just they're stuck. They're getting screwed by the bureaucracy that's out there. So I love, I'm kind of an outspoken guy, and obviously I am, but on the things that I have convictions about, back in 2015, I said, I'm not going to do political humor or comedy. But then I'm watching the debates with the primaries, and like 23 people running on the Republican side, and then Hillary and her crew are all running against each other on the Democrat side. And back then, I knew I didn't want Hillary. And I didn't understand Trump. He made no sense to me whatsoever. My mother just loved him. And I was like, are you serious? Like, what do you love about this guy? You're the church piano player, and you're telling me the real estate mogul, playboy, three times divorced, billionaire, that's the guy, the mogul, that's the guy, the host of The Apprentice, that's the guy you're pulling for? Because I was like, I like Ted Cruz or whatever. I like Ben Carson. I didn't know what I'd like. But I know I did a video where I said, trying to figure out which candidate to vote for is like trying to figure out which venereal disease you're most okay living with for the next 4 to 8 years. And so I went into the voting booth, and there was Hillary Clinton, and then the box next to it that said not Hillary Clinton, and I voted for that one. And we got Trump. And I had no clue the roller coaster ride. Yeah. God knows y'all have lived it. I mean, put out the wrong song or the wrong video, and it ain't the wrong freaking video. Yeah. I mean, the song had been out. Yeah. I'd love to. Y'all are here to talk about me, but I'd love to talk about that. But anyway, that's whatever.
No, believe me, we like getting other people's point of view at that time, because there were a few people that kind of stood up for us, and believe me, we know that. But we hadn't experienced something like that. We've seen how the media can manipulate stuff. Yeah. But when you are a part of it, it was different. Yeah. It was like,
we stay under the radar out here. I mean, we just write songs and go to the house. We don't go out there, and that was the first time.
Yeah, we're not on the news,
that we made the news. That was the first time that, we were called racist by Whoopi Goldberg, and we were like, oh, man, this is different. This is a different
Well, I can remember going to over at Music Row. Our Bass Records office is, you got to walk between the two offices, which was Jason's, I guess, publicist, and then the other office across the hall. And it was like, well, now the publicist has parted ways after 17 years, but they got to go to the office and see the people that are still repping Jason over here on the other side. And I was like, fine day at the office. That's a fun water cooler conversation. Right. That's awkward. But I mean, that right there, you're going to take a decade and a half relationship that you've got. You know this person, you know who he is, you know how he conducts business and how he does things. You know this person. I've often said I've been called everything: racist, homophobe, transphobe. I mean, I had a gay agent for 7 years, for crying out loud. It was gay as could be, and I'm like, I'm in the entertainment business. How can you call me a homophobe? Like, my daughter's a professional dancer. She tours with Disney on Ice, and I'll meet her somewhere in some city in America, and I'll take her to dinner or lunch or whatever, and take her back to the hotel. And I'll say, hey, let me go in and meet some of your friends. She's like, absolutely. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I go, what do you think I'm going to do? She goes, they know who you are, and there's just no, you don't have to do anything.
Thanks, Dad, but no.
Absolutely not. And so, you get called everything, and I go, you got to look at it. Like, if it was somebody that was close to me, like one of my friends called me that, I'd sit down and take an analysis of my life. What am I doing, saying, being that's not right? But when strangers are doing it, and they do it to the point, because again, you got boycott culture, you got cancel culture. Boycott is bottom up, cancel is top down. And that's what happened with you guys. With that, is it was the powers that be up here that said, nope, we're going to squash their voice. They're filled with hate, whatever. You read it, you saw the headlines, all the crap. And then when Bud Light does what they do, or Tractor Supply did what they did, or even John Deere did what they did, or who was the recent? Cracker Barrel did what they did. Now it's the people at the bottom, the organic grassroots people, says, we're just not going with that. No. So that's a boycott culture, which I don't like either of them, to be honest with you. But I also don't like spending money with people I don't share their values with. And when you've got a corporate value that is very plain and written, then I go, I'm not going to curse you. I'm not going to burn your buildings down, but I'm not going to go eat your crappy chicken fried steak either, because it really became crappy. I quit Cracker Barrel long before they went woke.
Oh, yeah. I just needed a reason to
It wasn't the streamlined decor. The biscuits sucked. So,
but they've got decent bathrooms.
The opinions of this program are not necessarily. So I don't know.
Hey, scratch them off for a potential sponsor.
They're not. They're out.
You mentioned Texas, and we love Texas. I gotta be honest with you, it's been so good to us since the very beginning. Like, for a Nashville-based act, like we'd go down to Billy Bob's in 2005, and we'd play 2 nights there. It was amazing.
They always
right?
took to us. Yeah.
And we've played Texas everywhere in Texas a bunch. Love it. Yeah. We were back in Austin, and we played Austin a bunch back in the day. Always had a good time in Austin. It's different now. We started noticing it a couple years ago. We went back. We played the Moody Center 2 months ago, and Austin's way different.
Yeah,
it just is. We walk into our dressing room, and we're sitting there and starting to do some work, and we look over, and there it is, the gender neutral bathroom, right? Yes. Written as plain as like,
Why do they got to do? Why can't they just say restroom?
Restroom, bathroom. Come on. What are we doing?
Right, but then everybody wants to argue. Well, you have gender neutral bathrooms in your house. I'm like, yeah, but I'm the only person in there. I'm like, I'm not peeing next to it's just the justification for that stuff is crazy. You want to have that? Okay, have these, and some restaurants do it. Okay, here's a single bathroom next to a single bathroom next to a single bathroom, and if it says vacant, you can go in there.
Right. Yeah. Here's the thing: no woman that I know of wants to share a bathroom with a man.
I've never got a woman to agree to pee with me. Like, I would never, unless I'm out in the woods somewhere.
I mean, it's okay to have our separate bathrooms.
Yeah.
I know the women want that.
Yeah.
I know they do. They don't want to be sharing.
Well, it's okay to have
a man
spaces.
in the bathroom.
It's okay to have spaces. It's okay to have places. It's okay to have roles. These days, they want to tell you can't have that. You know, everything's got to be this homogenized, androgenized deal where we're just some primordial goop that's not any difference in terms of. I mean, you say, well, sex is biological, but gender is a cultural expression. Not historically, it's not. It never has been. That's just something you guys came up with, a political invention. It's just like Pam Bondi came out, and I don't like that she said it. She said, we're going to go after people for hate speech. Well, there's no such thing as hate speech. There's free speech. Now, if you want to talk about defamation or threats of violence, we already have laws against that. When you start saying everything that you don't like is hate speech, that's a slippery slope. Now you're in the UK and you're going to prison for putting up a meme. That's not good. So, you know, I call those things out. I try to, and I catch a lot of crap for doing it, but I don't have anything to lose.
No, I think you
stage,
have to call those things out.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to. I got 3 daughters. You know, I told you, I mean, my daughter, that's the professional dancer, not on a pole. She's not like Aunt Shirley did it. Not like Aunt Shirley did it. I don't know if you've ever seen a stripper with gout.
She's saving for college.
Yeah.
You're better off just saying.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen a one-armed stripper with gout, but Aunt Shirley, she got the job done.
She was busy.
Yeah, she had that icy hot patch on her back. But she put that prosthetic on that pole and locked down, like, you know, channel lock pliers and kick that swollen foot out there and swing.
She's very strong.
Strong lady. She always came out to Def Leppard's Pour Some Sugar on Me, which we knew that. That's every white girl's fantasy stripper song. If they got to get naked in public, it'll be. Fact. And we know that because we learned when we were 16, 17 years old, they'd send me and my cousins down with a covered plate on the holidays so she could eat. Because she used to let the other dancers go home so they could be with the illegitimate kids. And so every now and then we'd peek through the curtains and see, and you didn't want to come out there with Aunt Shirley and the boa constrictor. We honestly wish Def Leppard had written a song called Pour Some Clothing on Aunt Shirley, but wild. But makes me miss home. But people, you know, they don't, you know, we've just lived in this weird world where it's just contextually, we've built this construct where everybody, I say a slip of the lip gets you hung by the tongue. You know, if you say the wrong thing on Twitter 10 years ago and they dig that back up. Happened to Joe Rogan, which I don't know what y'all's experience has been on this. I'm sure you've seen it, but it seems to me like every time cancel culture comes after you, you just get bigger.
But they're never going to learn.
You just get bigger and bigger. You kill Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk's voice amplifies by the millions.
That's right. Yeah.
You can't shut that up. You tried to do it with Joe Rogan, didn't work. They tried to do it with Kevin Hart, didn't work. You name your person, they get bigger. You're just giving them a bigger voice. There are people out there who are going to churches on Sunday now. They're getting involved with you know, campus chapters of TPUSA. People who 10 days ago had never thought about who Charlie Kirk was are now going, what happened? Who's this guy? Oh, I actually like what he's got to say. Because they're taking him and they're listening to him in his context without these pulled out of context lines or whatever.
Well, even if you don't like what he had to say, though, you got to like what he was doing.
What he was doing.
Because that's what it's all about, right? Yeah. He would have these open conversations, which for some reason over the last few years, people don't like. You know? And he was doing it right. Like you know, whether you're on what side, no matter what side you're on. Yeah. What he was doing is healthy for everybody, because that's how it used to be. Maybe the disagreements and the conversations, that's healthy.
You can hear the effect he had, though, when you see clips of a Morgan Wallen concert, a Jason Aldean concert, and the eruption when they talk about Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, And he shares the gospel every time.
I know
Every
it.
time.
I know it. And the roars are just getting louder.
And the crazy thing was, if you notice, we talked about it on my show yesterday. Coldplay did it. Chris sticks his hands up. We're going to send love. We're going to whatever weird stuff that was. But if it works, it works. I'll send love with you. I've never sent love like this. Maybe I've tried to send love a lot of ways. Never
you look like
this.
a baboon when you do that.
don't say baboon.
Thank God I've still got 2 arms.
Always be
2 arms to raise. But you can hear where he's like, send love to Sudan, send love to whatever. I don't know why I'm giving him that accent, but I'm not going to say what I'm about to say. But then he says, Charlie Kirk's family, and you can hear the crowd get louder at a Coldplay concert. They're probably just happy they didn't get caught cheating. But people are waking up to it. And, Charlie and I, we knew each other for a long time. Obviously, I'm a good bit older than Charlie. I've known Charlie since he was 18, 19 years old. I've done a lot of events with Charlie. Charlie endorsed one of my books. He's been on my show numerous times. We did a lot of stuff. I used to speak at his events, and he's a good dude. And he and I didn't agree on everything, but I don't agree with everybody on anything. There's no way.
Nor should.
You shouldn't. I mean, if you're a free thinker, if you're a critical thinker, and you have common sense, you're not going to agree. Because because I don't think Pam Bondi meant what she said about hate speech, but she said it wrong. She needs to walk it back. Probably won't. But I think Pam Bondi's under a quota to say one wrong thing at least once a month, and so because she's been good at that. So, but our country was founded on this idea. We're unique, right? We're not like most civilizations of the world. Everybody always had a king or a czar or an emperor or a big boss. They told you what to eat, when to grow your plants. They told you who you could have sex with, who you could marry. They told you, all these different things. You were in a caste system, and we pulled out our powdered wigs and our little hats made out of squirrel skin, and we said, no, we're not going to do it that way. Gave the middle finger to the biggest superpower of the day in 1776, and then we engaged in guerrilla warfare for the next 4 or 5 years and said, we're going to build a whole thing that's different. And so that freedom was going to be built on ideas. And so we have the idea of American. So they built this republic. And Benjamin Franklin, of course, what has happened? The lady says in the street, what have we done? And Benjamin Franklin says, well, what do we have? He goes, a republic if you can keep it. De Tocqueville said that America will cease to be anything if it ever ceases to be good. John Adams said that America's foundation has to be dependent on a moral society, a moral people. When you lose that, you got a problem because the standard is being taken away. To me, the standard has got to be God. I do believe that our country was founded on that because people say, well, the Constitution doesn't mention anything about God. Well, they didn't because all of the states' constitutions already had that nailed down. If you read the first 13 colonies and states, their constitutions were God, 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 God. So when they wrote the Constitution of the United States, they said, all right, states' rights are what's more important. They got that covered, so let's talk about the unalienable rights now that the providential hand of God has given us: life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, so on and so forth. And then hold these truths to be self-evident with the Declaration of Independence and then the preamble of the Constitution. So we had these ideas. And I say God is the standard because if you don't have God as a standard, then you don't have a standard for good. Now moral relativism takes over. Humanism becomes the religion of the day, and we've got our feet planted firmly in midair, and we're worshiping at the altar of me, myself, and I, right? So I make the rules. I determine what's good. I determine what's bad, what's right, what's wrong, what's evil. I got to have another standard besides just me because that's too arbitrary. And our founding fathers knew that. So they said, okay, let's discuss this. Well, John Adams and Thomas Jefferson hated each other. John Adams' last words on his deathbed, which they died the same day, just hours apart, on July 4th, by the way. John Adams' last words were, Jefferson outlives me. They hated him. Hated him. And so they didn't like each other. But they still got along. In their old age, they still were able to come back together and found these founding principles like the Constitution, like the Declaration that said we can disagree, we can debate, we can dialogue, we can duel if we have to. But at the end of the day, I kind of miss those days.
We need more duels.
Let me tell you how badass those dudes were back in the day. Okay, Talking about duels.
I just love the idea of a duel. Not with me personally,
because
I
don't think
I want to host some duels.
And I think those guys, it was all about saving face. I mean, obviously, Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton was one of the biggest duels, and Hamilton lost his life because of that, because Aaron Burr wasn't messing around. Like, he was there to kill him. And I think a lot of times those guys, they did it and they missed, but they were able to say, we did it, And they were like, well, I wasn't trying to hit you. And I'll tell you that. So y'all's former governor here, a guy by the name of Andrew Jackson, by the time he became president, when you had a duel back then, you had what was called a second. That was your fill-in. That was your understudy, okay?
Right.
So a lot of times, Sam Houston, of course, who went to Texas, Sam Houston was best buddies with Andrew Jackson. He would fill in for Andrew Jackson if he ever needed to. Andrew Jackson, by the time he won the presidency, had been a second, not just the duels he'd been in, had been a second in 100 duels.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how bad you got? I mean, I'm going to go fight somebody else's fight and get shot at for that at 15 paces? Hell no. That was a different breed. But I'm like, why don't we bring some of that back where you take off that cotton glove and slap somebody in the face and say, let's get this shit on.
Yeah. I want duels, but I want it in the original guns.
I know.
Yeah, I want
shoot
it
those balls.
Because you're not sure if it's going to come out
with zero ballistics. It's crazy.
I think if we do that, there's so many duels I want to organize.
I know the first
the
one.
Music City duel. I mean, it's like I want to line them up. I got so many people I want to enter these duels.
Should be Zach Bryan and Gavin Adcock.
What a bunch of pussies! These guys, unreal.
I don't take either of them seriously, though.
I know, but
I don't take either of them seriously.
duel.
As a matter of fact, I'm tired of the whole thing.
I think that's the first time you've named names on the podcast.
No, well, I love it. No, it's a current story. I mean,
it is, and I love that you named
Zach
them.
was gonna. He climbed the fence. He was ready to go.
Those guys couldn't shoot.
Oh my, they can't shoot.
It's just
that's like I'm gonna tell you this.
We got to set the bar higher for the initial duel.
Talking about country boys that sometimes ain't too country. You're going to try to play that game. If you climb over a barbed wire fence, a razor fence to get to me, I'm whipping your ass before your feet ever touch the ground.
Yeah.
Like, I'm catching you while you're tangled. Right? Like, we going to, And Adcock was like, I don't know, I got to go to the stage. Oops, and Zach's doing what he's doing. But, like, I remember I was fishing with my buddies, Randall King and Josh Ward in Texas. We were fishing, a friend's golf course that he owns. And Randall King he was fishing with a spinning reel. And he kept tangling up. You don't tangle up a spinning reel. Like, how do you do that? Like, I can understand a bait.
Yeah, it doesn't backlash.
It doesn't do it.
No,
like,
if you put the string on wrong,
and then I got to go over there and fix it for him. And finally, I'm like, Randall, listen, buddy. Mr. Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, if you do this again, I'm telling everybody. We're taking your country card away, boy. You got to quit with this. Not only now I'm getting your own bird, and now I'm fixing your mess over here. So I laugh about those guys with Adcock, and that's a good call right there.
They don't have enough in the bank yet to make that a legit duel. I mean, I need deeper.
Yeah, that won't make paper.
I could care less about either of those two guys.
But they've got some good, good hate.
It's just
they got some good hate.
I've heard Adcock on stage, and he goes out there and just swears at the audience and says up to bullshit, and it's like, that's fine, but I guess I'm old school about music. But there's many duels I'd like to see.
Yeah,
maybe try to organize some duels.
Like, do you have anything like on your mind?
I've been thinking about it since we've been talking about it, and I've got
John Rich would be one.
Oh,
John Rich would be a good one.
John would be a great duel for our side.
I think I'm taking John.
Well, no, I am.
I'd rather see John and Garth.
John and somebody.
You need people that don't like each other.
Marin Morris. Marin
Morris. Let's do that. That's a good one.
But you can't have John versus Marin Morris.
No, let them play. Hey, they can play in that men's sport.
I mean, Marin, I knew Marin when she was in Fort Worth coming up and doing her thing, and then she came out to Nashville and lost her freaking mind. And I was like, what is going on with this girl? Because I know she had some beef with Brittany and it's just like, what is your deal?
Now, Brittany and Marin, that's the duel.
Brittany and Marin, that would be
that's
thing,
a good one.
Brittany's going to take Marin down instantly.
Close.
I think you got people who think about why they believe the way they believe. And I respect that. Like a Bill Maher gets on his podcast, and I'm not going to agree with most of the stuff Bill Maher says, but it's fair-minded. It's critically thought out.
I think so, too.
Now, it's also gets kind of stupid sometimes because somebody will put him in his place pretty quick because they're not logical thinkers all the time with that. But again, they're in Hollywood. They've lived in an echo chamber. They've lived in a bubble for so long. They don't know any different. They've never been challenged on any of that stuff. So, but then you got the progressive rerees out there. You got the people out there whose brains fell out, never had one. Their prefrontal cortex just never developed. I mean, they're just not with it. And they are the feelings over facts. I said 30 years ago, we're about to enter into a postmodern society where how you feel about something is going to take precedence over what you can logically deduce from it. And so we got into that. And now people can't even define what postmodernism is. But it is, as I said earlier, as the philosophers used to say about humanism, you got both feet firmly planted in midair. They don't have any leg to stand on. Their history has become revisionist. Their talking points come from headlines or bullet points on the internet. We've got this great sociological experiment called social media, which is neither social or media. And, now you have AI, which is really effing up the mix because people are in that. And they don't know what's real. That drives me crazy, these older people on Facebook that share this. Did you see George Strait went down to Kerrville and he hugged that man in that lunch line after that flood of the Guadalupe? I mean, look, George, and it's like I'm like, it's AI. Don't even look like George. George ain't that tall.
No, he's definitely not that tall.
And George doesn't touch other humans.
Oh, gosh.
We were back when Irv Olsby was alive. Great story. Irv was awesome, man. We used to do this event over at Tapatio Springs where George just got that big mansion on the hill. And George, I guess he finally sold it. The HOA wouldn't let him fly his helicopter in there, and that pissed him off. And so he's trying to sell that deal. Beautiful golf course down there. We do this thing, and George insisted on coming down drinking tequila with us at least one night, and we'd get that Cody go out there, but he insisted on driving back up through the canyons to his house. So a cop would be in front, cop would be in back, be like 10 miles an hour up through the deal. Irv's out there, and we had a guy who was traveling with us, music guy. And he said, "You think George will come?" I said, usually when we have this event, he'll show up one night, and he's like, "Man, I can't believe I'm going to meet George. I get to meet George. I'm going to meet George." And Irv goes, "Let me tell you something, buddy." He said, "I'm pretty sure George has met just about everybody he wants to meet."
I love her.
I miss that guy. He was so good to us back in the day when he didn't have to be. We were idiots and young and on tour with George and not behaving.
Yeah.
And her comes up and goes, "Boys, you're going to have to settle down." We just walked back to George's room.
Yeah.
And we're just talking to George, and Irv's like, "Boys."
That's funny.
Yeah. He was great.
He was great. He was great. People are dying, man. It's insane. We're seeing a generation go away at this point. I mean, it's like every day you wake up. I mean, Robert Redford died. I mean, he's 89 years old. It was time. I mean, God bless him.
He was always older than I thought he was.
Yeah.
He always was. Every year
it was the hair.
Great.
God bless you, boys, if you can keep it. I think y'all have done good so far. Not me. I wear a hat on purpose. I'm telling you, I can't grow it on the back. I can't even grow a mullet. Mine grows up the back of my head. That's another thing of therapy. But yeah, I mean, the Ozzy thing. Like, I caught hell over the Ozzy thing just because I'm like, well, I hope he was right with God. I mean, the guy called himself the Prince of Darkness and he did all these kind of things. People were like, "How dare you?" And I was like, I really wish him well for eternity. Like, that's kind of where my mind and heart was. And people were like, "How dare you say anything about it?" And I was like, God, I didn't mean to get into this controversy. I wasn't an Ozzy fan. I wasn't not an Ozzy fan.
Ozzy was smart. Ozzy knew his brand.
He knew his brand. I mean, he knew how to do what he did. And I think the guy, you don't get to that level and do the things that they do. You don't become an icon and a legend without knowing who you are.
And Ozzy's, what's he going to do? Clean his act up? Yeah. That's boring. It's Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember we opened for him in Sturgis like 10 years ago. We opened for him, and I couldn't wait to go out there and watch him. And there he was, older and still singing, but he was Ozzy, and it's like, oh, I'm kind of scared, but this is great. Why am I scared of Ozzy? He can barely move, but I'm petrified right now.
I can take him. I swear to God, I can take him. He probably has some powers and principalities surrounding him, but
you don't want to take that.
I don't want to duel with swords. I'm afraid of swords.
I would never want. I don't ever want to.
Everybody should be afraid of swords.
I'd rather get shot with the ball. I don't dig it out of me.
Just don't get shot in the ball.
No.
I think Ozzy did have. I read somewhere that he had had conversations with God and everything, and he felt like he was.
There were
good.
those, yeah.
And the whole thing about the Prince of Darkness, that was, like you said, that was his character he created, a persona, and it was he would just say, "Hey, it's rock and roll. I needed to do something."
And I look at that and I'm like, man, I hope he did. I mean, Alice Cooper did that.
Same thing.
Alice Cooper's been very outspoken about his faith.
Yeah, Alice Cooper. I mean, he was terrifying, but it's hard to take Alice Cooper seriously because he's like terrifying, but then he's like playing 18.
Yeah, he's out there in golf shorts. His face looks like it's melting with mascara, and he's wearing Peter Millar.
I'm not going to be scared of you when you're getting your sand wedge out. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. I got Alice Cooper in the bunker on 17.
It lost all weight from
flirting with the cart girl.
Yeah, I mean, he's got his shoes on and pitching wedge. I'm not intimidated anymore.
Yeah. He still sounds good, and he does a lot for St. Jude. Like he does a lot of those things, and which is golf related too. But he's always been real nice to me and everything. He's nice to everybody.
It's his brand. Yeah. It's like these guys are smart. It's like
nobody can judge people like that. You can't. Nobody can. I mean, people you get accused of judging people like that. But I'll always go back to the thief on the cross, man.
That's true. And you got people out there who are very passionate about, somebody influenced my life in this way, and it was a core memory, and I'll always protect that memory, and you associate that memory. Because I said this about Charlie when he passed. I said grief is not about proximity, it's about meaning. You can really care about somebody and not even know them. And that's where the grief comes from. And that's true with all these guys. I mean, musicians, there's nothing, in my opinion, that unites people more than music and humor. Humor's under a lot of attack. Yeah. Music is too, in a lot of ways. It depends on what the message of the music is. Obviously, people are catching a lot of flack. You put the wrong song out. I mean, ask Lil Nas X and dancing with, lap dancing with the devil or whatever. He caught whatever. It's his brand, right?
I don't know.
Gay it up with Satan. I don't know. And then I'm like, you know what? It doesn't make sense to me, but okay. It's art. But humor, now people are so thin-skinned, they're offended by everything. And with comedy, you're supposed to be challenged. You're supposed to be offended. They hold I always say the two most offensive places that you should walk into with the expectation of being stretched and challenged is the church house and the comedy house, because both of them are supposed to hold a mirror up in front of you and say, "This is you. Or you laugh at it or change this, but we're going to make fun of it, or we're going to challenge you to change it." And both have been watered down. So. In comedy, they're looking for applause instead of laughter, and then in the church house, they're doing more TED Talks and inspiration and motivation rather than they are preaching the gospel. But because they don't want to offend anybody, they want to make sure the coffee is the right flavor and the right temperature out in the lobby, and the fountains are working in the parking lot, and the music sounds great, and it's not the thermostat's set right.
Don't get me started.
Yeah, it's the same. I mean, it's frustrating, and having grown up in the church, having been a part of the church, and being frustrated by the church and being in big ministry from time to time myself, it's a frustrating thing because I feel like that's my people, Yeah. And it's a crazy thing, but that's where we're living in. And if you try to make sense of it or you try to bring people along, you really do catch a lot of persecution for speaking up about it. And
I just miss the days when you could everybody could say what they wanted to say, and it's okay to disagree, and it's okay to be offended now and then.
Yeah, it's meant to ask you this. So, it's like, okay, they shot President Trump last year, and it's like, okay, they shot the president. You can't relate to that because he is the president and soon to be president and polarizing figure. They shot Charlie Kirk, who is any of us, and, you're there talking every day about your beliefs. Like, what does that do to you? How does it make you feel?
It doesn't change anything for me. Like it didn't cause. My phone blew up. That was a grievous day. Okay, so the 10th of September, the day Charlie got shot, my sister-in-law called me that morning from Augusta, Georgia, where I grew up, and my niece unexpectedly passed away at 38. So that was a hard day, and I was already dealing with that and weeping on the phone with her, my sister-in-law, and then I go in there and I shoot my show, which is live, and as soon as I get off, one of my sales guys that sells advertising for me says Charlie's been shot, and I jump on Twitter or X, whatever, and I'm running upstairs and I'm looking at the TV and I'm trying to text people that are on the inside, people that are close, what's going on, what happened. I'm like, there's no way he survives this shot. I mean, if this is what I'm seeing, if this is real, especially the close up when I was like, there's no way. And I know his security guys. I've known them forever, and I'm like, there's nothing to do. They're in this situation. So I was waiting on the news. So I probably got 15,000 steps walking up and down the hall out into the driveway, just watching the thing, waiting on the news. And people were like, there's a pulse, but it's touch and go, or they're stabilizing. I was like, there's no way. And I walked outside that day, and I just looked up at the sky, man. And it was just in that moment that I just looking at the sun and just kind of praying, saying a prayer for Charlie, saying a prayer for Erica. And I felt in that moment, I said, he just died. He just died. And I looked down at my phone, and my road manager texted, he's dead. And I went in there, and sure enough, they'd confirmed it on the news. And it was a weird, eerie thing. And I go, okay, so what are we going to do now? Because we can back off. I can go back to being the funny guy, or I can keep challenging people and trying to disciple people and help people understand these things critically. And I said, there's no fear in me. Now, my phone started blowing up because, I mean, listen, you guys were there in Vegas. I mean, you know what it's like when bullets are raining down on the stage and literally, your mortality is right there. You see your life flash before your eyes. But my phone was blowing up. People going, hey, some CIA guys, DOD guys, Navy SEALs, Army Special Forces guys. I mean, a bunch of guys I know. They're like, we'll come do security for you for free. Yeah. And I'm like, hey, take it easy. We're not gonna walk in fear. We'll analyze the situation as we come. Then everybody's like, I want you to stop doing what you do. I don't want you to be out there. I want you to. I'm like, I'm not gonna do that because you can't shut me up. I firmly believe that our hands are in the time. Our time is in the hands of God. So if God's done with me tonight, I could walk out there in the parking lot and a tree limb fall out and hit me in the head, and that's it. I can't prolong my days. I get on an airplane tomorrow morning, that thing could go down. I can't prolong my days beyond what his times are allotted for me. He knows that like he knows the hairs on my head. So that's going to embolden me, and that's going to strengthen me, and that's going to gives me the courage to go out there and do what I feel like he's calling me to do with conviction and not walking in fear. Because when he's done with me, he's done with me. And when he's done with me, I can go hide in a bunker somewhere. He can find me there too. Yeah. So what's done is done. And if you do kill me, it just amplifies the voice. Because now you made me famous. I ain't famous now. My lawyer told me, he said, you're the only dude that got famous by pretending to be famous. I was like, I ain't famous. But I was good at pretending. But you just amplified my voice if you do that. But you're right. To your point a little while ago, they never learn on the cancel culture. But these are dangerous times we're living in, and it's sad that we're there.
God's got it though. You nail it. I remember watching Charlie, and we were texting back and forth all day about this, and we had left the road that night. I remember we were talking to me and Kurt, and we're like, God knows what he's doing. Like God, since Charlie got assassinated, it's changed a lot of people.
Yeah.
I think it made people wake up to realize that a lot of messed up stuff has been going on. And to get to this point where Charlie, like Kurt said, wasn't an elected official. He wasn't making policy. He was just a guy out there having conversation. If that happens, then I think we've bottomed out. And I think a lot of people on that side too are like, well, this is crazy, which is that you see a lot of people now who said really terrible stuff after it. They're losing their jobs. And it's, I think people are really waking up to it and using, as God used Charlie in that way, I think, to help.
I agree.
To me, that's what it feels like.
Oh, goddamn, you got short.
And
but told you when God's done with you, you just take it right off the stage. But God, I've heard of getting the hook, but
now we're getting famous.
But Tully, like you're saying, he's not wasn't a politician, but to me, he was more dangerous than that to other people because he was changing young minds.
Somebody said, to your point, it wasn't. They didn't kill him because he was talking. They killed him because he was making a difference.
Yeah, right.
He was getting through to people. And I mean, I've been at the Turning Point events with 5,000 people out there, and I've had the honor of talking to that group, and they're passionate. In fact, I told them years ago, Charlie and I joked with him about it. I said, he goes, I didn't care that you said it. I said, I told his group, I said, don't become a cult. I said, you guys are so passionate about this. Don't lose the mission of what it's about, of elevating guys like Charlie to the point where you're thinking this guy can do no wrong, because he can do wrong. And that's actually what makes him great, because Charlie was humble enough to know that he could do wrong, but he was open to having those dialogues and debates, and that was the beauty of Charlie. So it amplifies the voice in a big way. Our churches were filled on Sunday. People were coming out. I mean, the messages of men saying, "I'm going to go give my life to Christ," or "I want to get baptized again," or there were people. They were so cool to watch these people on X making posts that says, "So if I want to go to church, what do I do? Like when I get in the building, like what do I do when I get in there?" It was like charming in a way that was so simple, of these like becoming like a child of saying, do I just go in and sit? Do I need to check in with somebody? What do I do? And then somebody's like, yeah, you need to go in there, you need to get saved. And they're like, what the hell are you talking about saved? And they were like, yeah, right, what the hell? That's it, you're on to it right there. Right. Yeah. So it was endearing with that. And then I think it's also exposing who is out there in those churches, who's going to preach the truth and who's not, who's watered it down to a point of consumerism, and they're scared of being canceled themselves, and they want to make sure that they, keep putting the spoon-fed pablum out there so Pavlov's dogs keep
I've noticed that's happening a lot right now.
Yeah.
Exposing the churches that aren't Scripture-based.
It's happening.
A lot.
It's happening. And I heard people say, how do I know which church to go to? They're like, not one with a rainbow flag.
Yeah.
Like, wrong mission. So, but it's fun to watch that. And I've been encouraging people on my show of saying, don't go once and quit. Like, keep going. Some of my friends, musician friends, they reached out and they said, man, I hadn't been to a church in 15 years, but I went Sunday. And I said, go again, keep going. And if you don't like that, find another one to go to. If you need me to help you do it, I don't know. But I know people who can help you. And, I go to church on Monday nights. I watch church on YouTube. And then, because I'm traveling on Sundays. And usually if I'm in town on home on Mondays, I'll do that. But on Sunday mornings, I'll watch it on YouTube and try to participate and things like that. But I'm like, just immerse yourself in some truth, man, some stuff that's uplifting. Turn Lizzo off for a little while and just read the book of John, which is what we've been doing, like I said, on my Before the Noise thing in the mornings. Just read the book of John, and let's see what that's about. Because people say, well, I liked you before you were getting all preachy. I'm like, I don't think I'm preachy now, because I'm talking to myself, and I'm just letting you guys go on the ride with me. Because here's what happened to me, guys, and I'll just tell you, this is something I went through that wild phase of life, too, where I was looking for reality in a bag of drugs or a bottom of a bottle. And I realized there was no reality down there. And I went through destroyed relationships, and I would wake up in a back alley somewhere after closing the bar down because I didn't know how to get back home or back to the hotel. And I was like, Reno Collier, we were on the road one time, and Reno's opened for Larry the Cable Guy forever and done comedy with Blue Collar. Reno used to weigh 400 pounds. He said, I'd get up on the tour bus in the morning and open up a bottle of Jack Daniels and throw that cap in the corner and say, let's get this day started at 7 a.m. Oh. And he said, I'd go through 4 bottles that day. And he looked at me, because he's been sober for, California sober at least, for a lot of years now, and down to 175 pounds. But he was in the back seat of the car, and that day we were going to the venue, and he goes, Chad, got a little bag of cocaine out. He goes, Chad, you got to stop. You're going to be dead. You got to, because the doctor told him, he said, you got 5 years to live. He goes, if you don't quit drinking, he said, can I quit in 4? And so he's looking at me. I'll never forget, we're in a green room in Dallas, and we're sitting there with some comedians. Orny Adams came in. He wasn't with us that night, but he came in to visit, and I said, Orny, you want some cocaine? He's like, no, don't do it, and don't do anything. And I said, you mind if I do it? He goes, I'd be upset if you didn't. Go knock yourself out. And those guys would say, listen, you're killing yourself. You're looking for reality in a place. Because I was a church guy, I was the ministry guy, and then I went to a place where it's like, I said, you know what? I don't have the courage to shoot myself, but I'm going to kill myself as slowly as I can. And then it got to a point where I said, no, This is not who you are. This is not how you were designed to be. This is not your identity. Because I believe that if you know where you came from and you know who you are, you know where you're going, and you know what you leave behind. So history, identity, destiny, legacy. Those 4 elements make a man a man. Everybody, but a man a man. And I said, this is not your identity, and you're messing up a whole lot of stuff. And so I started turning some things around a few years back and just really getting back to my priorities. And about a year and a half ago, I was at home alone in that big old house, and I was just by myself. And I had this just grief and regret come over me of things I'd done in my life. And I broke, man. I wept. I was like, maybe I got too much estrogen going through me. I don't know. I need more pellets in my ass. But I'm like, I'm crying. I'm confessing all the things. My kids, 4 kids. I'm like, so much of their life I missed for the things that being gone, and not just out making a living, but just being stupid too, and just the ways that I just dishonored God. And I felt like the Lord spoke to me in that time, and it was like, it's like if you stood up and put your hands on my shoulder and you started pressing down. And I said, God, what is going on? And the Lord said, I got a plan for you. This was at a point where I had come back to the Lord. I mean, I was walking with the Lord and trying to hear God and all this kind of stuff. But at this moment, God said, you've been doing good on your own, but now you need to take some people with you. It's one thing for you to have the message. You got to take some people with you. I said, what do you want me to do? And he goes, I've made a lot of investments in you as a young man. Now we're going to make some withdrawals. And I was like, this is very inconvenient. It's hard to be a comedian, run with some of the people that you do. And because people are going to go, because you got some people out there, they come to a show. They don't know if they're going to a motivational TED Talk or a church service or a comedy show. And you go out there, and some people think humor in and of itself is offensive. And so I said, okay, let's see what that looks like. And so I'm on this journey of just saying, okay, I'm going to take people along with me and see what's going on. And, God hadn't quite fully sanctified my vocabulary completely. Not sure he ever will, and I can defend that. I'm a pretty passionate person.
I keep ixnaying a few words at a time.
I'm getting better about it, honestly. Like I feel a little bit of conviction, and I'm like, okay. And then but we're working on some things. Brad Stein, of course, who's a Christian comedian, and various guys. We're talking about putting together some stuff. Nate Bargatze's dad, Steve, we're talking about doing some stuff with him as well next year. He's a comedian. And just going out there and saying, look, we want you guys to laugh, but we want to make some points along the way that make that identity become real for you as well. So,
that's awesome, brother.
The goose that wakes up in the world every day. We figure it out.
When you were going through that, like with the drugs, alcohol, and things like that, did you start that because you're depressed, or you're things that
I had
something that
a
starts
friend who
it
sat
usually?
me down in a room about like this with a conference table in 2009 and said, you're depressed. And I said, nah, I'm tired. And they go, no, you're depressed. You're clinically depressed. Like I guarantee you go to the doctor, you were chemically depressed. And I was. And I drink to, like everybody does, and I'll have a bourbon with you right now. Yeah. Thanks a lot, fellas.
We got your back, buddy.
We're
whiskey.
We didn't know.
But I love my bourbons. I love my tequilas. And I said, I could drown my sorrows and try to use it as an escapism to numb yourself and do that. I got into stuff like cocaine. I was never a weed guy because weed made me lazy, and I didn't want to be lazy because I'm pretty hyper. And I've always said the drug of choice that you like is usually the one that fits your personality. So if you're hyper, there's a reason why people take Adderall, and because that actually levels you out. I read a book on it about how cocaine, if you're hyper, will actually bring you down. I'd have all these people to be like, "You're doing cocaine at noon," and I was like, "You want some?" And they're like, "No." And they were like, "We go crazy," and I was like, "I've never gone crazy. I've never been high on cocaine. I've just been normal. I'm high without it." So you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you have that thing where it's like, no, I never experienced things like, but it was depression, 100%. And it was wanting to feel something that you weren't feeling. I think the biggest thing that I've wrestled with, it's the people who, there's a psychological thing about having an imposter syndrome. I joked about being mediocre in so many things, and there's a large element of truth to that. But you're like, if somebody ever really pulls back the curtain and exposes the wizard, it's going to be a humiliating thing because we're kind of bouncing this puppet show on some thin strings. And you feel that way whether it's true or not. And then you also, how that feeling when you come home and it's quiet after you've been in front of 10,000 people, and now you're like, shit, there's no applause here. Now, you get to a point where you're like, I welcome that. I want to be home. Some people want to be alone. But then there's some people who don't know how to find an identity without the applause. When it stops, that's why you got these guys. I mean, I was there at You'll see these guys who do these final shows. I mean, Ronnie Millsap was doing a deal out at Bridgestone. His final. I mean, he can barely get anywhere, but these guys are still coming out there and trying to do stuff because they don't know how to do anything else. Yep. They don't know how to be away from the audience, be away from the crowds, the applause, the adoration. And there's a psychological thing to that. And so I found with me, I'd gone through phases where I wasn't getting that outlet of being able creatively to put things there. And so it led me to some depression. It destroyed marriages. It destroyed relationships. And, And I realized, you finally realize you're like, okay, that's not the way to go. Yeah. Because as I said, the best way I know to put it, there's no reality down there. You can go as deep as you want to go. There's no reality in that. So that's why I say I encourage people, find some truth and read it, listen to it, hear it, expose yourself to it. It's far more uplifting.
Just a lot of people want to know that. Thanks for answering that. Just a lot of listeners and even us, just kind of want to know, especially in entertainment and even being a comedian, like Robin Williams, right? I mean, it was depressed as all get out and the funniest guy in the world,
Robin's death impacted me because my brand of humor, George Carlin style rants, Bill Cosby for the storytelling, and it stops right there.
Big influence, huh?
We're not putting any Bill in the pudding. Either we doing it or I'm doing it. But his storytelling, I used to listen to his records about Fat Albert and stuff. When I was 5, 6, 7 years old, I had a turntable to listen to Fat Albert, and or Bill Cosby's comedy. And then Bill Hicks for his way that he would approach politics. Robin for his spontaneity. And you think, here's a guy on top of the world that killed himself, who dealt with the depression. And how do you navigate through that? And you get to a certain point, I think, with some guys like Robin. Because when Robin died, I made another career-altering decision right then. Because I'd always said, I'm going to go make a living just being myself. I don't like working for anybody else. I like being my own person, and again, because I like doing something new every day. And back in the day, I said, I'm going to go make a living just being myself. And somebody close to me said, what's the street value on your personality? And I was like, well, we're going to find out. And so when Robin died, that was a big deal. I can remember being at the gym. I was at the gym, not in the gym. There's a huge difference.
You were there, though.
Yeah, I was there. I was sitting in the parking lot, sitting in the truck, and I was thinking about Robin, and I go, man, this is heavy, because I knew I was dealing with the depression, and even at times the suicidal stuff would pop in, and you'd be like, well, you could do it this way, you could do it that way, and maybe, and I was like, I don't want to mess this up. This is too pretty. So too vain to shoot myself. So I was like, well, I could drink myself to death. I mean, honestly, that's what you get to that point, and you go, I just want to stay in that place. And that's been a number of years ago, but it's something. It's a demon that comes around every now and then. I have often told people, and it's frustrating to the people close to me in my life, Sundays are very hard for me. Every Sunday is very hard for me because shows are over. I used to say goodbye to my kids on Sunday and get on the road to Sunday night to go. And I can still remember when they were little and they're at the door waving. And those Sundays were it brings up that kind of that emotion inside of me. And I go, boy, I got to be careful on Sundays. It's way better than it used to be, but that demon still knocks.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And there's a lot of men out there dealing with it. Men don't want to deal with that. They don't want to talk about that, especially in the Western world. They do. Talk about it. Cowboys don't want to talk about it at all, and they deal with it worse than a lot of anybody. But men definitely don't want to admit it. But if you had cancer, you'd admit it. If you had sickle cell, you'd admit it. I mean, why wouldn't you? Right. I mean, but if you got something where you got a chemical thing going on, why are you not talking about that? And I've been very outspoken about it over the years. My mother's like, I hate when you talk about that stuff to the public. And I go, Mom, here's the deal. There are people out there dealing with it. There's men dealing with it. And I say, talk to God, talk to your doctor, talk to your therapist, whatever order that needs to be in. But you need to have those conversations and get the help that you can get. And it's a thing. Yeah, man. It's a thing for a lot of people.
I could only step forward and move forward when the day I realized it's not about me. That's when it all began.
Yeah.
And I still have to be reminded. I still have to remind myself, wait a minute. It ain't about me.
That's a great point.
This whole thing, what's going on, it ain't about me. It never has been.
Right. That's a good point. And whether it's you realize that there's a sphere around you that's way bigger than just you as an individual. It ain't about me. I mean, I got kids. I got another generation. Yeah. I've got people that would be devastated and hurt, and if I hurt myself and these things. And I wrestled with all of those things. I've always been very transparent about it. I have zero shame in it. No reason to have any.
Yeah, no reason.
That's right. No reason to have any. It never even crossed my mind to be ashamed of it.
Well, like you said, it's just probably for a lot of our age too. It's like men just aren't used to talking about it.
They don't like to talk about it. I have a small penis. I don't mind telling that. I forgot you were there.
Get ready. I think we all might have looked up.
She's blushing, but she knew. And then as guys get older, that's another thing. As guys get older, because since I've already let that little cat out of the bag.
You got a Manscaped 5000?
No, I don't. Sometimes I forget that we're supposed to do that these days. I got one. It's in a drawer. I don't know where the charger is. I don't know where the charger is. It's hunkered. At this point, I'm at the age where it's just hunkered down like a button in a fur coat. You just let it go. And then we couldn't help myself. He opened the door. Well, we can talk about it. I don't mind. This is good therapy for me too, because I keep reminding myself as we get older, our testosterone drops. My ass is sore. Not prison sore, but I got pellets in my butt 3 days ago, and my ass on the right cheek is as dark as this cowhide right here, and it's just bruised up. And I'm like, why do we do these things trying to get the testosterone? Because you get to a point in life where the older you get, I think it's that estrogen hits and you just want to nest and cry. And your wife wants to go join the gym, or she wakes up horny and you got a headache. It flips. It jumps off in the middle of the night. 3 years ago, I woke up with night sweats. And you get night sweats. We get the flashes.
We talked with Nunley about
this
last night. I said, I'm having hot flashes, guys. Yeah. I'm 60. I just turned 60. I had a hot flash the other day.
Well, the way Chad said, with night sweat sounds better.
Okay. You got to man up on that. You got to play night sweats with an 18
We get them. We get them.
But I woke up laying in a puddle of water, thought I'd pissed the bed, couldn't remember my name, didn't know where I was. I thought, this is how Joe Biden feels every day, But I'm too young for Life Alert, but I still take my phone with me to the bathroom in the middle of the night in case I have a heart attack.
You never know.
You just pre-dial 911.
We're in the drop dead years. That's what Bill Burr says.
People are dropping dead.
Drop dead years. That's what
I don't
we're
want
in.
to be found like Elvis.
You got
my fat ass butt naked
on the speed dial?
I got 911 pre-dialed. I just hit the extra one and send, and they could come find me laying on a cold porcelain towel. And now we got our phone in there. And at our age, we don't stand to pee in the middle of the night. We sit down. We've already risked our lives to get in there once.
I'm not there yet, Chad.
I sit down. I'm so lazy. I waddle in there butt naked. I sit down to pee, and I'm like, all right. Safe. Let's go ahead and get everything done while we're here, so we don't have to do that treacherous jaunt again.
Dangerous midnight walk.
And people are like, well, and then we dress it up, say, well, I got a dad bod. You're fat, okay? Let's just be honest. And if you want to know the proof on that, you get around somebody that claims to love you and say the words, I'm fat. And if they don't respond, you're fat, okay? And dad bods aren't sexy. No woman's ever laid there running her fingers through the hair on a man's back and been like, oh, God, yes. I don't know if this is a Border Collie or Burt Reynolds, but roll into me, Daddy. And we're popping blue pills. I say we just keep treating our penises like Muhammad Ali. Like he's laying there like a little 3-inch fireman on a sack of balls looking comfortable, and we got to get him out there so somebody else can beat on him brand new. Like, why? Quit bringing him out of retirement. It's like Muhammad Ali, man. Let him die already. He put in the work. He's put in the work.
Oh, my God.
Wow. Sorry, kid.
Wow. I don't know how you followed that.
I don't know.
I mean, we went from Jesus to depression to
Muhammad Ali.
Viagra.
Yeah, I know. We cover it all here on the Try That in a Small Town podcast.
This is why I had to take drugs.
Oh, my God.
He wrote I'm Still a Guy from Paisley. So he can relate.
Can relate.
That's the same deal.
Yeah. Chad, you are a good man, and you.
Thank you, buddy.
This thing could go a lot longer. Obviously, we appreciate. First of all, we appreciate who you are.
Thank you.
We appreciate what you do.
I appreciate you.
Inspiration, man.
Respect your talent.
I do not scroll past you.
I appreciate that, and I got to get better about doing some funny things on there again.
But tell people where they find you at. Watch Chad, right?
Watch Chad sounds like a OnlyFans. I am my only fan. It could be. WikiFeet. Watch Chad.com. You go to ChadPrather.com, and it's kind of a one-stop shop. We got everything. You can actually go, like my morning deals that I'm doing before the noise. We'll add that to the site. My bless his heart, my buddy Brent, he's got cancer, and he works, does all my tech stuff, and he's, bless his heart, he's suffering. But we'll have that beforethenoise.com on there pretty soon, where people can go watch all the videos and things like that. Then the Chad Prather show's everywhere. We're on Monday through Thursday, and stirring it up for an hour, live at 11:10.
We challenge and get people to watch because must follow.
Absolutely.
Must follow.
Super must.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, you guys have taken a stand, and I've often said, the band guys, they kind of have to go where the head guy's going sometimes, and you get lumped in to the stuff. But you guys have made a big stand, and I love not only the group, but you guys as individuals have done a phenomenal job of just being real.
I appreciate
authenticity is the biggest compliment I think you can give another man.
100%.
Just be real.
Yeah. Appreciate you saying that.
Thank you, brother.
You're an inspiration,
Chad Prather, thank you for being here, my friend. Woo!
Well, that was awesome.
How do you guys feel? How do you guys feel after that?
I feel smarter a little bit.
I feel dumber. Yeah. I do. Yeah.
No, I learned something.
One of my favorites.
I mean, the guy, he does talk a lot. You have to keep up or get left behind.
I know it.
Yeah, he's like I said, I told you guys, but I didn't know anything about him until today, and I started researching him. And I know he mentioned like the Walmart and Target video, but the video that blew up also in 2015 was called Unapologetically Southern, right? So, and he was irritated because people were, commenting saying, you're not intelligent, with that draw and the way you talk and everything, you're not an intelligent guy. And he strung together, and it looked like he was freewheeling it. And I was listening to him, and he was so fast, and the big words, I understood them, I just don't use them. But he put them all together, and I thought, man, that dude is sharp.
He is super
sharp.
Oh, yeah. Things he's done, man, it's like unbelievable.
Yeah,
and he sounds like he's just getting started.
I know.
He doesn't even. He acts like he's like, it went by like that.
I'm thinking about retirement.
I know.
I know it.
That guy is just starting. That's unbelievable. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It was so much fun, and we're so appreciative of Chad.
Yeah.
We're appreciative of you guys. If you're on YouTube, leave us the comment, leave us the reviews, download the episode. We got to thank Patriot Mobile. We got to thank eSpaces. This is so amazing. Chad commented on our studio.
Yeah.
I love it. He loved it.
Yeah.
We got to thank Original Glory.
Drink it,
We got to bring some. I don't know why. I drink it during the week. I got to bring it in here.
No, I'm going to drink it all.
I
am.
Well,
it's after hours. I'm going to drink it in here.
Well, it was at the other studio. We got to get it back in here, don't we?
Yep.
Absolutely. Anything else? We good?
Great night.
God, it was a great night.
You guys be careful out on the road with Jason Aldean.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, and congrats on having the most added song this week.
Oh,
How
yeah.
far does a goodbye go?
We got to mention that.
I can't wait to check it out. I haven't heard it yet. I just saw it on the strip.
It's a good song. I heard it. It's a good song. Good song, guys.
I'm sure it's great.
Thank you, y'all.
Good song.
Love you guys. And we love everybody for watching.
Yeah.
See y'all next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on. This is the Try That in a Small Town podcast.